Hello, guys. Welcome back, and today we will be reading Chapter 4 of Blitz. I'm super excited. Last time it was really great. He saved a couple lives. It was awesome. He's part of the Sentinel Society now, so we'll find out where his journey takes him. Chapter 4, not what he seems. Here we go. The next morning, I woke to the sound of my phone buzzing and dinging like crazy. When I checked the notifications, they were missed texts and calls from both Catherine and Victor. First, I looked at the time and I noticed it was 6 a.m. Then I called Catherine. She said her mother had gone missing and she was freaking out. I told her that it was going to be okay. I told her I was sorry, and then I called Victor. Hello? On the other line, Victor sounded frantic as well. Ryder, where have you in the hell have you been? I called you 4 times last night. My mother has gone missing. She has been missing since yesterday evening. I filed a missing persons case and the police are trying to find her. Can you help, please? I know you have a superhero identity, so maybe you can find her. I gasped. What was going on? All the mothers were disappearing. Yeah, I can start looking. I turned on my TV to see if the news had any information on it. Sure enough, it did. The blonde news reporter appeared on screen. Her voice was shaky. Hi, I am Riley. And this is New for You News. We have just received information regarding not 1, not 2, not 3, but half the mothers in this city have been kidnapped. Updates should come in shortly. Mothers are going missing by the second. Then the news went to commercials. I immediately called my mother with no answer. I then called my father and he did answer. Dad, hello? My voice was shaky. Ryder, your mother has disappeared in the night. Something's wrong. I was shaking and I started to tear up. I then hung up and grabbed my backpack and suited up. I ran out the door in a purple blur and was searching every building in the east side of the city. After a while, Gatespire's voice came on the intercom. Kid, you're not going to find them that way. I was getting frustrated now. Then how do we find them? I practically yelled. Gatespire's right. You need to calm down and we'll come up with a plan. Agent Danger's voice was very clear. I'm sorry. Ugh. I heard Gatespire sigh. We know, kid. It'll be okay. I then ran to base. I was in the middle of the main area with all the main heroes. It was Agent Danger, his agents, me, Gatespire, Mulder, Glacier Guy, Time Watcher, Fiveman, Artemis, and Jet. The whole team was here. The only 2 that weren't here were my grandpa, who was Obsidian, who was retired, and the Sentinel, who was also retired. The Sentinel was also one of the greatest heroes to ever live. No one knows where he ended up. He was the original founder of the Sentinel Society. He was the most powerful hero to ever live. He had laser vision, ice powers, fire powers, super strength, flight, super speed, water powers, and super intelligence. He could see through walls, and he had super durability. So what do we do? Nothing like this has ever happened. Glacier Guy spoke with unease. We are working on it. Agent Danger spoke with confidence. I was so angry I basically yelled, we need to hurry up and just find them already. Come on, we are the greatest team of heroes this world has ever seen and we can't even find a small kidnapping? Ugh! I slammed my hands on a nearby desk in front of me. The whole room fell silent and had all eyes fall on me at that point. Gatespire walked up to me and placed a hand over my shoulder and he walked me out of the room. Kid, something's telling me that you're more emotionally tied to this case. I promise you that I will personally see to it that the mothers are found. You'll have to trust me. I want you to take some time off. Please get some rest. He then started smiling at me. I was infuriated. I then ran off towards home and went to bed. About 2 hours later, I woke up to my earpiece going off. I remembered I had set it down on my nightstand. It was now loud with the others' voices. I could hear Gatespire talking. He said that they found the hideout of the kidnapper. I grabbed my earpiece and quietly jammed it in my ear. This is Blitz. I am on my way. Absolutely not, said Gatespire. You're too emotionally attached. You're not coming. I was getting angrier. The hell I'm not. I'm a hero too. Kid, I said not. That's an order. He discontinued my earpiece. I hacked the piece and tracked their location. I then ran out as fast as I could all the way there. When I got there, I realized that the battle had already begun. The warehouse was on fire. Through the windows of the three-story warehouse, I could see lights flickering and I could hear the struggle of fighting. I ran up to the door and tried to get in, but it was locked. I ran backwards and noticed an open window on the second floor. I needed a way to get to the window. I thought of something, but I didn't know if it would work. I ran to the building as fast as I could, and I managed to run up the walls of the building. I then entered the window. I frantically looked around, panting. That was cool. I never managed to do that before. The office I was in had fire all around it. I managed to run to a fire extinguisher and put out the fire in the office. I left the office and everything else was also on fire. I went to an overhead walkway. I realized I was now in the main area of the warehouse. The whole place was on fire. The heroes were all out in a brawl with a bunch of well-known villains, and each had a matchup. There were also somehow some low-class villains in the fight, like the actor, web warrior, mad surfer, puppet king, effect, persuadia, and the punter. There was Blackout. She had the powers of electricity, and she was fighting Jet. There was also Rumble. She has supersonic voice, and she was fighting Time Watcher. Crosssword, who has two swords in the shape of the alphabet. Then there was Wrecker. He was a mutated buff man with pure brute force. He was fighting Molder. Lake Lord was next. He was the evil king of Atlantis. He was fighting Glacier Guy. Then there was Mister. He had the powers of mist and fog manipulation. He was fighting Five Man. Next up was Rat Man. He was fighting Artemis. And so forth. Time Watcher pinned Rumble against the wall and asked a few simple questions to answer. Why are you all teaming up, all these villains? Rumble just smirked. We band together to create the League of Villains. We have one goal. Rumble just then smirked even more. Kill the Sentinel Society. Time Watcher then gritted his teeth. Where are the mothers? They are in another warehouse far from here. It's on the other side of the city, near the docks. They are in holding cells. There is a big bomb there as well. It is about to go off in a few minutes, killing all the mothers of this city. No! Everyone looked away as I yelled. I sped off towards the other warehouse. I managed to get there within 3 minutes at the docks. I noticed immediately that the locks had tech-based locks on them. I quickly ran to unlock all the cells as fast as I could. I tried every combination for each lock until it unlocked. I then ran the bomb out the door. Nothing mattered at that point. Everyone was going to be safe. I ran towards the ocean and carried the bomb about 97 miles out before dropping it and running back to shore. The blast suddenly went off and a tidal wave of water was chasing me from the blast zone. Eventually I outrun the blast. I made it back to the warehouse where the battle happened. I looked down and noticed my suit and mask was halfway blown up and shredded. It didn't matter. I had scars and bloody wounds all over me from the explosion blast radius. I then noticed the villains all had power dampening cuffs on and were being put in SWAT vans onto the backs of prison trucks. I then ran to the warehouse where the mothers were and saw families were being reunited. Victor and Catherine were there hugging their moms. I couldn't go say hi because my identity the whole time. I got back to shore. I was panting extremely hard from exhaustion. The other heroes were all there as well. When the crowd saw me, everyone started clapping and cheering. And then even the heroes clapped and smiled at me. The whole world was acknowledging Blitz. I just put my hands around the back of my head and kept panting. Gatespire walked up to me and whispered in my ear, "Go back to base, we need to talk." I then sighed, knowing this was about the disobeyed order about me interfering. I smiled to everyone and waved and ran off to base in Nevada, where I met up with Gatespire and the team. When I entered the main area, the whole room of agents burst into claps, cheers, and including even Agent Danger. Everyone was impressed with me. We walked over and he placed a hand over my shoulder. "Well done, kid. Please follow me." I was led into his office where Gatespire was. Uh-oh. This feels like the principal's office. Gatespire just smiled. "Huh? Good job, kid," he said with a grin. "But I disobeyed an order." "I was wrong. You didn't listen to me, and yes, but you saved hundreds of mothers' lives from a bomb today that we couldn't make it to. You were the only speedster, and you saved so many people. If you hadn't interfered, half the city's mothers would have been dead," he said with confidence. "So this city wants to build you a statue as Blitz, and I approved it. We will also be fixing your suit backpack thing." Agent Danger interrupted. The Gatespire continued. "Now go get cleaned up by doctors in the med bay. Do not, no one was there. Weird in medbay. I noticed a single note was left on my nightstand in my room when I got home that night. It read, 'He is not what he seems. Do not trust Gatespire.' It was signed, 'Your Friend.'" Creepy. I went back to sleep and I would investigate this in the morning. And tomorrow was another good day to save the day. Alright guys, that is the end of Chapter 4. Obviously there's been a warning against his mentor Gatespire, whatever that could mean. We will find out in Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is called The Sentinel's Secret. I won't spoil anything, but enjoy guys. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.